Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to another video. So, I'm catching up on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw and randomly Chucky from Child's Play appears on my screen. What the heck? And it was a really entertaining segment, which is why I wanted to include it in the video. It did make me laugh, I have to admit. So picture this, Chucky's just sat there chilling in his basement, his living room, wherever serial killers hang out. And he's going through some past episodes of Monday Night Raw. And eagle-eyed viewers will realise that as he was clicking on that segment, that the Fiend's image was in that scene. And people went crazy because they were like, is that an Easter egg? Is that a sign that Bray Wyatt's going to come back to WWE? Let's face it, nobody knows if Bray Wyatt is going to come back to WWE at the moment, and nobody knows where he's going. However, it's still got people talking. And it was interesting, to be honest, to see that image. I did notice it straight away, to be honest. It's kind of hard not to with that mask. And it was funny because Chucky was just making these hilarious comments. Like, Sheamus comes up on the screen and he's like, I love your Hannibal Lecter mask. And then there's this scene between Charlotte and Oscar delivers the green mist. And he's like, I'd have used sulfuric acid. It's like, what the heck? That's kind of what a serial killer would say, I guess. But one of the really interesting parts was when he was watching a scene from Alexa's Playground. And there was Alexa Bliss and Lily there. And he was like, I'd like to get in the ring with her. And who was he actually referring to? Was it Alexa Bliss or was it actually Lily? And that's interesting because you imagine Chucky and Lily as like a combination. It would be terrifying. But as far as we know, Alexa Bliss is Lily now, potentially. I did do a video on that, so go check that out. But nevertheless, it was a really comical scene and it did make me chuckle. However, I wouldn't read too much into the Fiend thing. Now, speaking of Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, Wyndham Rotunda, whatever he's getting referred to as at the moment, there's always going to be speculation. Where he's going to go and where he's going to sign. And understandably so, until he actually puts pen to paper, there's going to be that speculation. And people are never going to rule off until that moment him returning to WWE. Many WWE fans literally are praying that he re-signs with WWE. And point in this video really is WWE need to re-sign Bray Wyatt. They need to get some momentum back because their product is stale as you like at the moment. Again, this is just my opinion. Your opinion might differentiate, but God, is it awful. I came away from Raw and just thought, what about that was enjoyable unless you're 7 years old? It was ridiculous. You got grown men fighting over a crown. I mean, who won King of the Ring in recent memory and made good of their career from it? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, there's no one there I want to see win that crown. You know, you got Jinder Mahal sitting on the crown like a big baby. Xavier Woods, like, talking about basically how it's his life's goal, pretty much, to get this crown. And yes, if the payoff is someone like Xavier Woods comes out better as a result of this, and there's maybe some friction between him and Kofi, and they split up and they have a rivalry or whatever, and it's something new, then I'm all up for that. But it is just not entertaining if you're a grown man. It's ridiculous. You've got Jimmy Smith, the play-by-play commentator, doesn't even know finishing manoeuvres. You got Becky like hitting the manhandle slam, and then he goes, that's it, or something, or whatever. Like, you don't do your research. If your job is to speak for a living, do your research and actually learn some of the manoeuvres, because it looks sloppy. It looks like you can't be bothered. It's the whole thing with WWE at the moment. Everything looks like it's last minute and put together just without any thought, and it shows, and you can't get away with it. Like, and obviously it's affecting them. If you look at this week's episode of WWE Raw, there are empty seats everywhere. I think the stadium was actually a fifth full. And in the words of Paul Heyman years ago, you know, he'd always said this, he'd rather have 1,000-seat allocation, turn 2,000 people away, than have 20,000 seat allocation and only fill a fifth of the building. Like, that's the difference to me between WWE and AEW at the moment, is the crowd are just more into it. Yes, they're smaller arenas, but they're filling them, they're maxing them out, and there's this atmosphere. WWE is dead. Like, and they're not dropping the ticket prices either. Like, the product is just as bad as it's ever been, and they're expecting the same price of ticket. People are going to see through that. I think people are seeing through that. The women's division, I know I'm going to sound like I'm moaning, but it's just so mixed match. You've only got your top tier superstars and you're not building up anyone else. You've got a Queen of the Ring tournament where you could build up a Liv Morgan. You could build up a Toni Storm. What do? Toni Storm gets buried to Zelina Vega, who's lost pretty much most of her matches. Liv Morgan loses to Carmella. You're not building up any of those superstars. It just doesn't make any sense. There's just no one you're looking to the future in terms of progressing in any way. Any of these superstars, like Ricochet, getting buried again. Like, what is going on? Like, there's never any long-term investment in superstars. And you look at over on SmackDown with Roman Reigns. Who is a threat for Roman Reigns at the moment, with the exception of McIntyre? They can't rival now, all the way up until WrestleMania. You've got no one to fill that void in that time frame. No one. Now, if you'd had Becky and Seth, obviously the two have to go together, and you kept them on SmackDown, you could have a rivalry between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, which we'd have all loved to have seen. And then you could have built McIntyre leading into next year. I could go on and on and on and on about all the flaws and the holes in WWE at the moment, but inserting someone like The Fiend as a main event player, a main event attraction, you could have him instantly in a rivalry with Roman Reigns. You really could. You could undo all the wrongs that they created with that character, bringing back spark something new, and it'd be two fingers up to AEW and rival promotions. But if you don't do something about this product soon, more people are going to turn away. It's sloppy, it's lazy, it's not entertaining to watch. I've come away from Raw thinking, what did I actually enjoy? With the exception of that bit at the end, between McIntyre and Biggie. But they're two faces and there's nowhere to go with that longer term because they're on separate brands. They just don't seem to think any of this through, and it is frustrating, it is irritating, which is why they need to bring back Bray Wyatt. A new mask, a refresh, a reboot, and just have him as an absolute wrecking ball. Give him the creative freedom he deserves. He's a grown man, he knows what he's doing, he's more creative than any of your cronies in the boardroom. All right, give him the control, give the fans what they want, and listen to the fans. Because that is the future of your company. Now, apologies if that come across as a little bit of a rant. I know it did, but feel free to get in the comment section, voice your opinion. What are your frustrations with WWE at the moment? Let's not get into the roll-ups and the no finishes, because I will start to get even angrier if I start mentioning that. But what do you think? Get down in the comment section, share your thoughts and opinions. Would you like to see Bray Wyatt come back? Do you think WWE need Bray Wyatt? Or do you think, for pure selfish reasons really, Bray Wyatt should go, sod it, I'm going to best my career somewhere else and be appreciated somewhere else and showcase my creative genius somewhere else? What do you think? Thank you so much for watching the video. Again, apologies for the rant a little bit, but these videos are always honest and from my heart and truthful, how I feel at the moment. And I've got to be honest, I'm just not enjoying much of WWE at the moment. It's not really exciting me. Not looking ahead. Women's division is just the same old all the time. And what's going to happen between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns? Why is that getting showcased in a country that it shouldn't even be booked? In my opinion. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. If you could like the video, share the video, subscribe if you're new, that'd be really appreciative. I'll see you very soon.